Well, it's time to talk business with our partners 2 Degrees. The new Reserve Bank Governor has spoken up to put the heat on banks and financial markets over lending rates. Garth Brave from Business Desk is with me now. Hey Garth, good to see you again, mate.
Yeah,
hey,
good to see you.
Now, the Reserve Bank Governor has said that the tightening by banks has gone beyond what is implied by our central projection of the OCR. So what is this warning she's giving out?
It's a factual statement, right? But it's the fact that she's saying it is probably the news. This is something that really, I think, Herald has certainly been picking up on for the last couple of weeks since the previous governor stepped down. At the time, I think we've talked about this before, there was a bit of telegraphing that maybe that was as far as rates were going to go in terms of dropping, and so the market responds by thinking ahead and going, well, okay, people will start to set longer rates, we need to get ahead of that, we'll price up and so on. So effectively what you had was Breman come pretty much out of the blue yesterday and issue a statement ahead of a round of media interviews that are going to happen yesterday and today, and effectively say that, you know, the market conditions have tightened since November, but that's beyond their central projection for the OCR. So basically a bit of a warning to those banks and to the wholesale money market rates that maybe you shouldn't take it for granted that we aren't going to lower further, and maybe you need to think twice again. I guess, you know, she went a bit further actually, talking, I think, on One News, saying that the whole point of this is to support the economy. If banks hike mortgages and that reduces growth, we have to take that into consideration. So a bit of a warning that maybe they want to look again at some of that 2 to 5 year pricing that we've seen has just suddenly spiked up in the last little while, and we'll sort of see what happens from that.
So are we going to see, in your view, another OCR cut come, mid-Feb next year?
Oh, a little early to say with that. I mean, it's a real guess that I guess the market is pricing that as fairly long odds. We are, though, sort of starting to see, and we can talk about that shortly, some sort of slightly more soft data on how the economy is performing, and we'll get some more data on that later in the week. But it's a question, I suppose, of whether this is enough, what the immediate reaction is. You sort of saw, or we're seeing reports of the 2-year swap rate dropped a couple of basis points, about 5. 5-year rates were down 4, and 10-year rates are down 1. That's like the wholesale price for money that the banks are paying. So the wholesale money market's already responding somewhat to her remarks. And I guess you've seen, I think, Westpac chief economist that popped up saying, yeah, well, if they come down further, how much further we don't know, the banks might wind back some of those increases that people have started to notice if they've been trying to refix lately. Yeah,
and I mean, so what the banks have responded, right, to the Reserve Bank Governor's comments?
Not quite yet. They haven't responded with a change of rates. I guess we're seeing the wholesale market, which is that underlying price.
Would we expect them to respond though and make some changes?
I guess this is the fight we're in now, and this is unusual because obviously the Reserve Bank's been in a little bit of paralysis for most of the year, with the governor stepping down, effectively a temporary one there holding the fort. Now we've got someone who's clearly come out of the blocks and is really quite happy to put her money on put her mouth on the line and actually try and jawbone the markets a little bit. It's unusual.
Yeah, it is
unusual for us anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happens all the time overseas.
Now the services sector is still the biggest in the country, but still sluggish.
Yeah.
What are the latest numbers on that?
Yeah, so this is the performance of services index that came out at 46.9 for November. That's contractionary, and it's a drop of 1.5, which shows that things are really coming off. So whether you're a hairdresser or a gym or whatever around the country, the combined result of this through Business NZ and all its various outfits in conjunction with the BNZ said, hey, look, things are moving backwards in almost all factors. The strongest market in there was for the new orders, and that's a forward-looking one. So it came in at 49. It's just under 50, but it is quite a forward-looking stat. So I guess their businesses are saying, hey, we do see a brighter future ahead. But the idea that things have contracted and contracted further is, I guess, just further underlining that the recovery is still perhaps a little way off, or it's going to take a lot longer to bounce than we thought.
So just in terms of that services sector, I mean, which are the areas which are struggling the most or having the biggest impact on the economy?
Looking at the regional data, obviously it's no surprise South Island numbers were stronger because that's, I guess, buoyed up by a lot of what you're seeing in agriculture and primary industries. North Island, particularly around some of the big main centres, Auckland, Wellington, not great. And that's basically backs up probably what you see if you walk down the main street in Newmarket. Half the shops are shut, and the others seem to be doing gangbusters down at Westfield. So it's a winners and losers economy at the moment, as one economist was saying.
We need to get out and spend if we can. Speaking of services, what is Paysauce and why do we care?
Good question. Well, look, it's just a nice little story that we've Rebecca Stevenson, our markets reporter, has picked up today. They're a small company, small cap, and they're off to Australia, but they're not leaving us. They're expanding. So they do payroll services for really small businesses, and we're talking for like under $100. They'll fix all your worries if you're a sort of a 1, 2, 3 person operation. Aussie, there's about 100,000 of those businesses kick off each year. And the co-founder, Asanta Wijeratne, he turned up in New Zealand with, he says, $500 in his pocket in 1988. He runs a company that he helped found that's got a $40 million market cap, and they're doing a $4 million capital raise that they've just announced to build the funds to be able to launch that Australian expansion. So really a good news story that even though times are tough, there are prospects for businesses that get out there and have a go at it.
Absolutely, there is. Garth Bray, we really appreciate your analysis as always. Thanks for coming in the studio this morning. That is Garth Bray from Business Desk, and we talk business every day with our partners, 2 Degrees.